Hey, welcome back and thanks for watching. This video is going to be a little bit different than normal. This is going to be a pool closing video. So I'm not going to go through the chemical part of it, or at least not much, just because all we do is order the pool closing kit based on the size of our pool and follow the instructions. But what I am going to go over is what I do as far as cleaning, as far as draining, both how I drain, the levels I drain to at various stages, blowing out the lines, or I should say sucking out the lines with the shop vac, and then winterizing both the pump and filter housing and what I do with all of that. So I'll go through all of that as well. So let's get started. First things first, I have already let the water level come down some. You can kind of see it there. Let me give you an inside view. So hopefully that's showing up. That's, how low the water is coming in the skimmer. So it's pretty low. We put a bag of shock in it. But what I'm going to do so that I can lower it really low before we put the pool closing chemicals in is I'm going to take the skimmer weir out, because with that in, it creates this vortex and makes it so you can't drain it down really low. So I'm going to take that out and then show you what this suction looks like with that weir out. You reach in, you need both hands. You reach in from this side and push it, then you pull the tabs to loosen it out of the holes, and then you slide it straight up, and the skimmer box is tapered. So it's tapered, so once you're at the top, you can get it out, then out it comes. So let's review that. So I've broken this. Man, that sucks. These are like 15 bucks. Oh well. But you reach in from the right, push the flapper down just enough, but get your hand in there, pull this tab in. See, there's a pull there. Pull it, and then pull this one and work one side up and then the other, and then you lift the weir straight up, and the inside is tapered, and when you get high enough, these tabs, these little tabs here, will clear, and then you can yank it this way, and then once you get it in the basket, once it's in the basket at a certain height, then you just spin it out. All right, and now next steps, you can see that's how much I've drained it down. It's pretty low, it's almost starting to swirl even without that skimmer weir in there. We just put the first bag of chemical in, so we'll let it run and circulate for a while and finish that up, and then we'll do the final drain. What I've got here, so I siphon it out. I've got 4 hoses and then the vacuum hose full of water, just ready to, start siphoning out once we get to that point. So it's about, I think, an hour or 2 of chemical stuff to circulate before you siphon it down the rest of the way. All right, so we've got the next pool chemical thing in. So while we're waiting for that to go, I cleaned up the pool shed. Does it look like it, or does it still look dirty? So I cleaned that up, and we kind of put the pool floats away and got things stacked up for the winter. I'm still going to need to get the electric mower out once more to mow around here. I've got the cover ready. I have tape marks on it. Here it is right here to orient, which way it goes. And then I've got the hooks, most of them screwed up to be ready to hook. And so yeah, a couple more minutes and I'll get the tripod set up. You guys get to see us put the cover mostly on. So what we'll do is we'll put the cover on, we'll hook it on this end and that end and this side, and on that side we'll let it flip over on itself, because we'll still have the hoses draining, and of course I'll still need to get to the ports to get the water out, suck the water out of the lines. So we'll get the tripod set up here and you'll get to see us putting the cover on. So there's the cover part of it. So what I'll do, I'll temporarily put that in. I'll hook a couple of these here, but I got to drain it, right? I got to finish draining it. So I got to leave the cover open, and that'll be until, you know, tonight. It'll probably take until tonight to drain down that next, you know, 10 inches. And then I'll flap the cover over it just overnight, and I'll blow these lines out or suck these lines out tomorrow. So that'll be a project for tomorrow. But let me show you one other thing real quick. All right, so we have the Polaris, right? We got to get that cleaned out. So the first thing I'll do, well, I'll take that scrubber off here in a moment, is I'll actually just blow it out. So I will literally blow into this and blow it out. There, now that's not the end of it. I will put some antifreeze through it, but that is the first step of the process. The RV antifreeze will come tomorrow. So now the pool's draining. Cover's drying out. I've got it mostly on. What I do now is, of course, I take you know, the drain plugs out of the pump here, let them drain. But then I also take all of these O-rings out. Pull them out. We'll see what I do with them here in a moment. So I'll get that other one out there and open the filter housing up, and then yeah, just stand by. You'll see what's happening next. All right, I got the drain plug out, so this thing will just lift right off. And then I'll have to, of course, pull these filters out and wash them. But since this thing is light and movable, I'll slide it away. Get this last O-ring off. Like so. Take all these O-rings, dry them off. That's pretty good. And then they go in this baggie. And this baggie has like a little silicone lube in it, so these things won't like dry out and dry rot over the winter. So I'll seal that thing up, and that'll go in my winter kit. All right, now this next step is probably not necessary, but I do it anyway. And that is, I take, of course, the electric's off. I will flip the breaker off in the house for the winter. But I'll take this off, and I'm going to take the wires off completely. So totally off the motor, and then I'll pull them out of this connector here, and the motor, pump, and everything will stay inside over the winter. Just take the ground wire off, and then there's just two hots. And you fish them off. There we go. And then I'll cap these for the winter, and you know, so no water gets in that conduit. Put the cover back on. Get that ground wire off. And the next step here is to take these filters out and clean them. I'm not going to show that because that's just something you do with regular summer maintenance anyway. But what I will do is pull the O-rings off on the bottoms of these and put them back in that same bag with the other O-rings. So these filters get cleaned, and instead of going back in the filter, because of course they're wet, and what will happen, they're wet and it takes days for them to dry perfectly, and then they'll, water will accumulate in there. So instead what I have a set of old filters that I use in the spring and here. So I will bring the filter in, the filter housing, and set it here, put the old filters in it, put the lid on, and then I'll put the good clean filters in here, because if a little water accumulates in the bottom, there's really nothing to freeze there. Now the time may come where I don't have the other filters. or I have two good sets. So you want to plug these holes so mice don't get in there. So all I have is the slip, or the, I don't know, whatever that coupler's called, in the bottom of a plastic container. I cut out, it fits right in there, sort of. There we go. And then I'll just, there we go. Let me just screw it on, and that kind of, you know, that plugs that hole so nothing gets in there over the winter. Good morning. So it is time to drain the lines. I've got the filters there drying. I'll let them get as dry as I can before I put them in. Same thing with the Polaris. But first things first here. So the skimmer clean out, I'm not going to show that today because I don't have enough antifreeze, and also because I need a new one of these. You screw that into the skimmer, so if you do get some freeze, the skimmer doesn't crack. But I will say, pretty much throughout the winter, I try to keep down in this skimmer crevice, I try to keep it full of RV antifreeze. And then when I put, by the way, this is an old cover I put on for the winter, and I'll cover this with a piece of foam so no rainwater gets down in there. And I just try to keep RV antifreeze in there to you know, just keep it from cracking. And then of course in the spring I'll just siphon that out so it doesn't get, you know, circulated into the pool. So let me go show you the process though for the supply lines, and the same process will apply to the return, which I'm not going to film. This process, you know, I've got the shop vac, I've got the pool drained down below the supply line level, and I've got 3 of them plus the 1.5 inches. So what I'll do is I'll plug 2, suck water out of this one until I get air over there, and then I'll plug that one, unplug this one, suck till I get air, plug it, and then go to the last one. And then I know that whole network all the way up there is empty. And then I'll swivel the Janny valve to the 1.5 inch line, which is just a continuous single line, and I'll suck that out again until I get air. It's a lot of water in those lines, so this takes quite a while to go through that. And the plugs, by the way, that I'm using, since my supply lines are not threaded, well, except the one's threaded, but since they're not threaded, you just take these and you put them, you stick them in the hole, and then you tighten this wing nut, and it mashes this rubber, makes it fatter, so it just jams in the hole, and that's how you plug the lines for the winter. And then winter maintenance, like I already said on the skimmer, I try to keep the pink stuff in the skimmer and keep an eye on that. And then I also try to make sure that my water level doesn't get above this top tile line, which typically is like a springtime late freeze type thing, because what you don't want is you don't want to get a late freeze and then those tiles get hit with you know, water freeze, and then they, you know, crack, which I've had issues with that. It's an old pool anyway. But all right, so I'll probably fast forward through this process. The vacuum's loud. I couldn't narrate it anyway, but you'll get an idea of what's going on. You can see I have the shop vac just kind of resting in that hole. You can hear that, I hope. And right, so that is clear. So we just got to do that same thing to the other lines now. back over here on hole 2. You can hear it hopefully. And there's clearly suction, so that line's clear. Alright, that last line is clear. Now we'll just take our 1.5" plug and plug that line. Alright, and as I said earlier, I'll do the same thing in the skimmer and then keep the skimmer full of pink for the winter. And then the last thing I'll do is I have these plugs I made. It's just backer rod and a Gorilla tape. And I'll just kind of put those in these holes. I'll put that in temporarily. That'll have to come back out. That's the skimmer line. And I'll just put that in the holes just to, you know, sort of keep stuff out of it for the winter. I'll just have to button that down so it doesn't get hit, this ground wire. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and put the cover back, you know, on fully and put all my stuff away. And guys, that is it. Oh, two more things. What is that? That is water for the squirrels. See all these holes? The squirrels will chew holes in the cover to get water, and then they, I guess, don't remember the hole, where the hole is, and they'll just like go berserk trying to get back out, and they'll die, or they'll chew another hole in the cover to get out. So I just put a water pan out, and they use it. Trust me, they use it for the winter, and I keep it full so that they drink out of it. And switching gears here on the chemicals, we will put this floater in the pool for the winter, and then there's this spongy thing that goes in. So that is it. That's my process. I will answer any questions you may have in the comments, so post them. And if you have any critiques, I'm open to that as well. But we've been here 10 years, and this is the process I've been using. It's been working so far. But I'm always open to little improvements here or there. So appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.